Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Jordan here, back with a new review for you all. Today we're going to be looking at the Corsair Katar Pro XT gaming mouse, which is the wired counterpart of the Katar Pro wireless that I reviewed just a few weeks ago. Now this is coming in at an unbelievable price point, so let's cover some of the key specs of the Pro XT, then we'll get into the box. This mouse is coming in at a very lightweight 73 grams, making it perfect for fast movement games. Symmetrical shape design for claw or fingertip grips. On-one switches with Corsair's quick strike buttons, more on that later. 100 to 18,000 DPI with the Pixar PWM3391 optical sensor. Onboard memory, on-the-fly DPI switch with customizable buttons, sensitivity adjustments and further settings using Corsair's IQ software. So let's get inside the box. Inside we'll find the mouse with its 1.8 meter cable, an instruction manual, warranty and safety guide. So let's start on the rear of the mouse. We see a Corsair logo which is gloss to contrast the otherwise mostly matte body, and because it's only a small amount of gloss, I'm pleased to say that this isn't going to pick up any grease. Above the Corsair logo is the DPI switch for easy swapping of profiles. Alternatively, you can remap this in IQ should you fancy using it for another function. Above that we've got the scroll wheel, which has got a nice textured grippy finish and bumped feedback when rotated. As you can see, this also has RGB lighting. Of course that could be changed in IQ, which I'll show you later on. As a side note, I always like to mention how different products interpret white, as unless they have a dedicated white LED, it's usually made up with RGB LEDs working together. For the Pro XT, it's actually a very good representation, no blue or purple tinge like we usually see, so good work here from the RGB LEDs. To each side of the scroll wheel, of course, we're going to find our main mouse buttons, with a nice touch of detail from an abbreviated name on the left click. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these were using Corsair's quick strike buttons. This is a spring-loaded design that has no gap between the left and the right buttons to the switches underneath, so that makes all your clicks much faster. At the front of the mouse we've got the 1.8 meter hardwired USB cable. Now this is made from paracord, but it's got to be the softest cable I've ever seen on a mouse. It feels more like shoelaces than a cable, and I've no doubt you could use it for that if you wanted to for some reason. I'm really impressed with how Corsair's been able to make this so flexible. On each side of the mouse we're going to find a triangle pattern for added grip, and on the left side we'll find two buttons that can be remapped to whatever you fancy, and by default they're set to forward and back. On the underside of the mouse there's not much to look at, but you won't expect that anyway. We've got two large PTFE feet for fast manoeuvrability on your mousepad, and then the Pixar PWM3391 sensor. So for those of you that want to get experimental, let's jump into the IQ software. Okay, so I'm doing this part live instead of a voiceover, so we're going to quickly run through it just so we don't take too long and too much of the video up. But here on the left hand side we've got our profiles. You can add multiple for different games if you want, so you can easily switch between them. You could also assign your DPI switch to change the profile if you want as well. Easily change between which one you want to use. On the left side we've got our actions, which we're going to do macros. Simply press add, press record down here, and anything you press on the keyboard will be recorded. You can then stop that and add that. This is something that the people that know they want macros, this is where you're going to be going and spending a lot of time to do all this different things. Personally not something I use that much. You can even execute with sound if you fancy that, which is pretty cool. But those of you that you know you're going to need macros, this is the main bit you're going to be spending quite a lot of time in. Alongside macros there's some more things you can do here, so this you can get really in depth should you want to do that. Going down to the lighting effects, I have covered the different effects throughout the video, so if you're just wondering what it looks like, then just check what you've seen and what will come up in the conclusion. But you've got predefined ones of rainbow, color pulse and color shift. Now the color shift is what I did with alternating with white and then red, which looks quite nice. That's kind of my own personal colors. And then you can change the speed down here. This is notched as well, so you've got kind of three changes you can do. It would be nice to kind of pick a little bit more precisely, but for the most part that's going to do you well enough. The hardware lighting section's going to be where we choose our different lighting for when IQ's not running. So maybe if you go to a friend's house and use a PC there that doesn't have the software, this is what's going to be running on the mouse by default, and out of the box it comes with the rainbow. So DPI settings, here you can see the different presets, and when you press the DPI button it will switch between these. Personally I kind of go for about 800, so I'd be on the lower setting. So this is actually changing on the mouse as I click them. If you want to assign one of these keys to a sniper button, then you can do so. So if you want to go for a really low DPI to get nice precise shots, then you can add that on there as well. The performance tab, if you want to enable point of precision, you can do that. And then the surface calibration is really nifty. Just literally grab this little icon and do spirals until you get into the green zone, which will then basically calibrate the mouse to the surface you're using. So I'm using a Corsair mousepad. You might be using just a table or a glass surface, but this is a nice way to make it really accurate for whatever surface you're using it on. So we've taken a look around the mouse, the built-in functionalities and what you can do in the software. So now it's conclusion time. So as I mentioned at the start, this was coming in at an unbelievable price point, but I purposely didn't say how much so I could reveal it now. For the long list of features that the Katar Pro XT has, it's just $29 at MSRP. I actually produced this review blind to the price and I'm actually blown away with how great this mouse is for such little money. Of course I'll elaborate on my thoughts, but this has easily made the top of the list for my budget mice recommendation. The Pro XT is super accurate and responsive and caters to the most radical of high sensitivity of players with a whopping 18,000 DPI. I'm proud to report I've not had any latency issues, so exactly as it should be. Now this is a very lightweight mouse. Personally I usually use a heavier mouse, but that's just me. However, the transition to the Pro XT was no problem at all, just about 15 minutes getting used to the weight gap. I do like the design, and although I do have very large hands and my fingers can hang over the left and right click, it's still comfortable to use, and the majority of the time I wouldn't have my hand fully flat on it anyway. Construction wise it's good. It's going to be a little plasticky, but it is a sub $30 mouse, so that's to be expected and certainly fair on Corsair's part. Overall this is an absolutely fantastic product from Corsair, which is easily my new favourite budget mouse. It's going to take a lot for other companies to match the quality offered here for less than the price of a night out on the town, when that was a thing that we could actually do. So I hope you've all enjoyed this review. If you fancy picking up a Katar Pro XT, then I'll leave a link in the video description. If you've got any more questions, then of course leave them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and ding the bell so you don't miss an upload. Big thank you to Corsair for sending this out for me to review. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.